Hey guys, hola, hello, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, Taylor here. Okay, so obviously today's video is going to be a little bit different than all my other videos in that we're going to be exploring one of the most popular conspiracy theories. Now, before I get started, I understand that I am a travel channel and whatnot, but I have other types of content on here, and I like to create content about things that I myself am passionate about and things that I'm interested in. And one of the things that I'm interested in is conspiracy theories. I have, over the past couple of years, become a little bit of a nut when it comes to it. I've watched a ton of stuff on different conspiracy theories. Obviously, there's a lot of it that's like just crap and, you know, should be paid attention to. But what got me started into conspiracy theories, because I was very big on like aliens, ghosts, whatever. Like, I didn't really care about that kind of stuff or watch anything about it. And I was never big on conspiracy theories. There are a lot of them that are out there, like this anti-vax stuff, stupid, get your kids vaccinated, and the flat earth thing, we're not even gonna go there. But the Mandela effect is something that I can connect to because there have been examples that I personally remember. No, I'm not going to sit here and pretend and tell you that I have the world's greatest memory. I don't. But when it comes to life experiences and pop culture things and stuff like that, I have a very good memory, especially like kind of like a photographic memory. I can remember events and things as they were. Like, I can see a picture in my mind of the way something was, you know, or whatever the case is. So like, when I say that these are the, like, I'm gonna choose the top 5 that I believe that I'm like, that's different, that's changed, I remember it being this way, I know for a fact it was this way. These are things that I am like, okay, I recognize this caused me to believe in the Mandela effect. There's lots of rumors and speculations and conspiracies of why that's real, whether it's a glitch in the matrix, the multiverse theory, the whatever the case is, different dimensions, whatever. We're not gonna get into that today, but if you guys wanna see a video about that, I'd love to make a video about that. But today, I'm going to dive into the top 5, for me, Mandela effects that I think are just crazy. Now, before we get started, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like this video, and let me know what your top 5 or top 1 Mandela effect is. I'd be interested to know what everyone has kind of realized, or let me know if you knew about any of these, or if any of these are news to you. Like, let me know, what are your Mandela effects? Like, I want to know, and I want to see what everybody has to say. Maybe if you felt like I should have included a big one that I didn't, let me know. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started with my top 5 Mandela effects. So, a little history on the Mandela effect, in case you're unaware. The official definition for the Mandela effect is a large group of people that have a false memory about an event or something. And it's a large group of people on like a massive scale that remember something being completely different or something being exactly the exact same way. This term was coined by Fiona Broome, who thought that Nelson Mandela died in the 80s in prison and not in 2013 when he actually died. And apparently when she posted this online, there were a large number of people that believed that Mandela had died in prison and not actually in 2013. So I don't believe this one. I'm not listing this as one of the top 5. I'm just giving you guys the history, because to be honest, what I think it was is that there were a large number of people that were her age that thought this because they probably stopped learning about Mandela when he was in prison. So Mandela was in prison for a very long time, and when they were in school, I think that he was probably still in prison. Like, a lot of the people that I've seen that that believe that one are older, and so when they learned about Nelson Mandela, he was currently in prison. So I think that they just kind of assumed that he died or he was going to die, and that just kind of stuck with them. There are a lot of people that said, oh, well, I remember seeing, like, you know, an Oprah special about it. I remember seeing his funeral. I remember seeing these things on the news and stuff like that. I mean, I don't remember any of that. Now, when I was in school, Mandela had been released from prison. So I remember learning about Mandela after he was released from prison, which is why that I knew that he was alive until 2013. Like, that So I mean, I remember learning about Mandela being outside of prison and doing things, but that's when he became the president, stuff like that. So like, yeah, I just think that I think that that's maybe the main reason for that particular memory. A lot of these older people stopped learning about Mandela and just assumed that he died. Now there are weird coincidences, like the fact that he got bronchitis in the late 80s and people thought that that's what he died from, or remember him dying from bronchitis because of the living conditions and stuff, and he actually did get bronchitis, but he made a recovery. Some people think that that was like the switch in the dimensions or whatever. I don't know. Again, I don't personally believe that one. I'm just letting you all know where the theory comes from, what it means, and the history of it, okay? Number 5. So this one is kind of a big one for me because it's a childhood one, which is the Berenstain Bears. This is actually the main Mandela effect, and that one that kind of sparked a lot of controversy is the Berenstain Bears, because, even the way that I say it, because apparently it's Berenstain with an A and not an E. And the spelling that I remember is the spelling that I remember is B-E-R-E-S, can't spell, B-E-R-E-N, good God. So the spelling that I remember is B-E-R-E-N-S-T-E-I-N, Berenstain. However, apparently it's always been B-E-R-E-N-S-T-A-I-N, Berenstain. I read these books all the time as a kid. They're very popular. I read probably all of them. They were one of my favorite Little Bear, you know, families to follow and everything. Obviously they were kids' books. But I remember it being Berenstain. Now there are some people being like, well, you just misremember the spelling, like the A and the E look similar. Do those look similar to you? That A and that E look nothing alike. They had 2 other E's in there. So clearly, I would have known the difference between an E and an A. Like, clearly it would have looked very different than the A that is there now. Also, everyone always referred to it as Berenstain. Why would we mispronounce it? You know, it was one of those things where we had to read in school, so it was something that was repeated over and over again. It was something that teachers and adults said. So why would all of us, children and adults, like mispronounce it, you know? So yes, I very clearly remember it being Berenstain, not Berenstain, Berenstain. There are different examples you can find online of people that have old VHS tapes of them, where it's spelt the old way that people remember and then this new way as well, and even on books and stuff like that. And my opinion on that is that it seems very unlikely for there to be a video with the title misspelled or something out of one of like a million releases or whatever, you know, or like on a book for it to accidentally somehow have an A instead of an E or an E instead of an A. So that's pretty weird to me because it seems very unlikely for that sort of thing to happen. But there are people that have examples of like the way that it used to be, as people with the Mandela effect call it residue, of like the way that it was spelled, the way that we remember it being spelled. So I mean, that's one of those things that's like a really big one for me, that I was like, whoa, because I absolutely remember it being spelled that way. And I was very big on pronunciation and words when I was growing up. I was one of those like annoying kids that would correct you. Like if you said irregardless, I was that annoying kid that's like regardless. Irregardless isn't a word, regardless. Like I would correct you a lot. So for me, I know I can picture it being spelled with an E, and I know that because I know the way that I say it, the way that I still say it now. Like I know that that's completely wrong.
The Berenstain Bears. The Berenstain Bears.
So number 4 is a very big one to me, which is Jif or Jiffy peanut butter. This one, I had lots and lots of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches as a kid. Like, period. I loved peanut butter. I was one of those people that would get like a spoon or a knife and just lick peanut butter straight out of the bottle. Like, I loved me some peanut butter and PB&J. I had that all the time. Now this one I'm like very big on because, again, I loved peanut butter. Like, I ate that. That was like a major food group for me. And, you know, I could see how, you know, for some of them where it's like, okay, like the Berenstain Bears one, I could maybe consider the fact that, oh, maybe I wasn't paying enough attention to the spelling and maybe I didn't necessarily realize it and I was just a kid. It's one letter and you were too young to notice and pay attention. You know what, that I can be like, maybe. But this is an entirely different spelling. From Jif to Jiffy, no, that's a completely different spelling. I have, Good God. I can't wait to move. I hate living by this damn train. From Jif to Jiffy, those are extremely different spellings. Like, I mean, not extremely, but obviously, like, I remember seeing commercials for Jiffy. I remember calling it Jiffy. I would have, me being me, would have never called it that if that's not what it was called. Like, if it was called Jif, I wouldn't have added 2 extra letters onto it just for the heck of it. Like, no, I very, very clearly, distinctly remember it being Jiffy peanut butter, like, period. That, it was kind of a fun thing to say, Jiffy. Like, I liked saying that name. So no, like, that one, absolutely, like, I very clearly remember Jiffy. I remember the labels on the bottles. I remember my grandmother calling it that. Like, I remember Jiffy peanut butter, not Jif. Never heard of Jif at all. Like, and it's got the same colors and everything, but, like, no, it was very much Jiffy. Like, Jif just doesn't sound, it doesn't sound right. Like, Jif peanut butter, it sounds incomplete. That one, no, like, no. Number 3, and this one is a pretty big one. Now this one is one that I actually very clearly remember, and I wasn't actually a fan of it. I didn't become a fan until actually later on in life, but that's Star Wars. There is a phrase in there where Darth Vader is having an argument with Luke, and they are at the end of that scene, and tons of people remember him saying, "Luke, I am your father." And apparently he's always said, "No, I am your father." Now this one I have a major problem with. I hadn't even seen the movie, right? Like, but I knew that phrase. That was one of those, like, phrases that was everywhere. There was merchandise created with that. That was something that they said on interviews, on like everything. I mean, granted, this movie came out before I was born, but that's one of the most iconic lines from the series. And for there to be merchandise that exists, a ton of merchandise that exists, where it says, "Luke, I am your father," why would they do that? Like, people misremembering a line, even in the moment, because that was something that when it happened, people heard, "Luke, I am your father." That would be something that the studio would immediately be like, "Oh, hey, no," he says no. The studio wouldn't create merchandise and stuff that actually says, "Luke, I'm your father," based off of a incorrectly heard line in the movie. Like, why would people do that? So, to me, that's like a very big one. And there are interviews with James Earl Jones saying, "Luke, I am your father," when he's quoting himself and quoting the line.
When I first saw the dialogue that said, "Luke, I am your father," I said to myself, he's lying. I wonder how they're gonna play that lie out.
There are plenty of scenes from movies and TV shows where they make references to that and they say that.
Luke, I am your father. Luke, I am your father. This is CNN.
And to me, "No, I am your father" doesn't really go well. Like, before the line, he says, "He told me you killed him." And then his response is, "No, I am your father." I mean, yes and no, but again, looking at the way that they kind of talked in Star Wars, like, "Luke, I am your father," like, that was just such an iconic sort of line with so much merchandise and stuff around it. It's one of those things that doesn't make sense for them to have not corrected people in the moment, right? Like, it would have been one of those things that in the moment, they would have been like, "No, he says, 'No, I am your father.'" They wouldn't have just let it run. Like, what would be the point of them doing that, you know? So that's like one of those, like, really big ones too, where I'm like, no, it's clearly, like, that's, before I actually watched the Star Wars movie, that was like one of the only lines I knew from the movie. Like, so it's not like I'm some super, like, I super big fan of Star Wars or anything. Like, I became a Star Wars fan sort of later on in life. So yeah, like, for me to have known it and not even seen the movie, like, no. I'm sorry, that's a big one.
Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me it now.
He told me you killed him. Me. I am your father.
Number 2, which is another movie reference, which is a huge one for me because I've seen the movie at least 1,000,000 times, not even over exaggerating, which is Forrest Gump. My mom loves that movie. I grew up watching that movie. It was one of the few movies that we had on VHS. Like kind of showing my age a little bit there. But we had that movie on VHS. My mom watched it all the time, religiously. And so I could basically quote the entire movie. I've seen it so many times. And one of the most iconic lines in the movie is when Forrest is sitting there and he says, "My mama always said life is like a box of chocolates." Apparently what he says is, "Mama always said life was like a box of chocolates." No, like it is. And I'll tell you why, because that's just poor grammar and writing if it was. I know that's wrong, because like Mama always said life is like a box of chocolates. It's present tense. It's keeping up, it's staying in the same tense with the sentence. But to say Mama always said life was like a box of chocolates, it turns it from present to past. You don't use the term always and then in the same sentence use the past tense of was. Like that doesn't make sense. He is saying that she always says that. Like that's the way she always talks. And that's a statement that she always makes. So it doesn't, like life, and life is ongoing. He's still alive, like life is happening. Why would she, in the past, say life was like a box of chocolates if she was alive and she was telling someone? No, she would say life is like a box of chocolates. She's speaking in the present tense, which is what he was doing. He had a box of chocolates. Why would he speak in the past tense while he has a box of chocolates sitting on his lap? So again, like to me, I know that it is. I know I've heard it 1,000,000 times. Like I know this in my heart of hearts. And if at the very least, mass hysteria, mass misremembering, whatever you want to call it, that's just poor writing. Like that's just poor grammar. Why would they leave that in the script for it to be like said in a way that is like just not even grammatically correct? It doesn't make sense, especially considering the rest of the script for the entire movie. So yeah, that one is a very, very near and dear one to my heart, and a very big one where I saw that one and I was like, whoa, like, okay, Mandela effect, really real here, because that's like a massive part of my childhood. I've seen that movie just a disgusting amount of times. Like so many times have I heard that line quoted and said. And there were even people that had like the VHS box where that was one of like the quotes from the movie on the box, and it was "is" on their box. So I'm like, again, one of those things where it's like it was mass produced and everything, and what you think that the studio just allowed people to misquote their movie, like they would have corrected that, you know? And there's even like interviews done of him being interviewed and and quoting the line and saying "is."
Mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
And it's one of those things where they've like done on various TV shows and movies and stuff where that's been a very popular line for them to quote, and a very popular scene to be quoted.
You know, Mother, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
You sure you don't want chocolate? I always say life is like a box of chocolates. Sure are a whole lot of brown ones in there.
So, no, like that, definite Mandela effect, like period. I don't care what you say, period.
Do you want a chocolate? I could eat about 1.5 million of these. My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
So number 1, and the last one, but definitely not the least, is going to be a song. This is one of the largest Mandela effects, period. And I know that it causes a lot of controversy because the live version is different from the studio version, the official release version. Now let me tell you, I love Queen, I love Freddie Mercury, I've listened to a ton of his songs. I always try to reach all the notes that he can, obviously can't, but like I love Queen. And so does my mom, so she listened to Queen a lot as well. Now, I understand that there's a live performance in which he said it, and then the official release in which he didn't. I remember listening to it on the radio. I remember listening to it in a million different times, in a million different ways in which he said this, which is at the end of the song, when he says, "We are the champions," says, "of the world." But apparently, in the official release, he just says, "We are the champions," and does not finish with "of the world." It just finishes with "We are the champions." That sounds so wrong in so many ways. Like, it sounds like an incomplete song. I'm very big, I listen to a lot of music, I watch a lot of music videos. That music is like one of my like passions. Like I'm one of those people that has playlists for everything. Like I have a happy playlist, I have a sad playlist, I have a rock and roll playlist. Like I have a playlist just to like chill, unwind. Like I separate my music, I pay attention, and I'm very, very good with learning lyrics. Like I'm very good at hearing a song a couple of times and then being able to, you know, sing the entire thing. Like that, like quoting songs and lyrics and remembering songs and everything, that's something I've always done. Very, very good with that. And even when songs that are released, when they sound weird, it's something that I always kind of notice. Like there are songs and stuff that I hear where I'm like, they shouldn't have put that little pitch in there, or they should have had like another chorus, or you know, like they shouldn't have made the third verse out, like it makes it sound weird. I'm very big on critiquing music like that. Like it's something that kind of happens, and and I can feel when things hit my ear wrong. And listening to We Are the Champions and not hearing "of the world" at the end hits my ear very wrong. Like it's something you're supposed to hear. And my thing is why would he include it in the live version but not include it in the official release version? You know, he wrote the song. Like if that was the way that he wanted it to be sung, it would have been released that way. So it doesn't make sense for them to, you know, decide to release the song, the studio version, and to keep everything in it and then leave out "of the world." Like it doesn't make sense. But in the context of the song, it absolutely does. We are the champions of what? Of the world. Like, otherwise, what are you saying you're champions of? You know, come on. So clearly, you need that for just even simple context. Like, it doesn't make sense for that to be the way that everybody remembers. And I understand that there are a lot of people remember because a lot of people, you know, watch the live performance. But on the radio and stuff, it was not the live performance. And people very clearly remember it being "of the world." So again, I'm gonna go ahead and say that even though I understand that there are two different performances that people are talking about, where it's like the official release version, he doesn't say "of the world," and in the live performance he says "of the world." To me, it doesn't make any sense for the artist that knows the song that they wrote, that, you know, created everything, to sit there and all of a sudden in the moment be like, "of the world." Like, no, he's obviously gonna sing it the right way live. So something happened either with the studio release or whatever, or again, Mandela effect, but it is "We Are the Champions of the World." Like that's the way that everyone, that song came out before I was born. And even I knew that. Like that was like something that I just grew up knowing. Like, and it wasn't like someone was telling me, "It's of the world, make sure you remember that." No, it was like I listened to all different kinds of music, and like Queen was obviously someone that I listened to, and I listened to his music. Like, obviously I wasn't watching the live performance. I actually didn't even see the live performance until I got like to be older. So, I mean, I knew the lyrics to that song before, you know, ever seeing like the recording of the live performance. So, yeah, again, I'm gonna go ahead and say that was also one of those like Mandela effects where I'm like, yeah, this is absolutely true. Like, this, I clearly, distinctly have memories tied to it. I know for a fact that it was sung this way. I never misremember lyrics to songs, like period. If I hear the beat or something, I know how the song needs to go. Even songs that I haven't listened to in years. I have a ton of songs on my playlist and on my phone, and there are plenty of songs that I haven't listened to in years, but I guarantee you if you play them, I can sing the entire thing. Like, that's just the way I am. They're like locked in me. So yes, like even just listening to it, it sounds wrong, period. Like it's just wrong. Like, so either way, thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope that you enjoyed these. Like I said, I do have like a passion and an interest in like the Mandela effect and other kind of conspiracy theories, but the Mandela effect is like my major one where I like connect to. So I understand if it's not your kind of content and whatnot, but if you did enjoy it, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And be sure to hit the little bell notification next to the subscribe button so that way you're notified as soon as I release new content. If you guys want to see more Mandela effect examples and, you know, hear theories and things on it, comment below and let me know. And also comment below with various theories that you've heard. I want to know what you guys have experienced. What if you guys thought that I left out something important, or if you guys thought I didn't include something I should have. You know, let me know about what your top Mandela effect examples are, and so that way we can get like a conversation going. And this is how we find out about more of them. You find out about more of these by people communicating and be like, hey, wasn't this way? I remember this being this way. I recently saw this, blah blah blah. So be sure to comment below and do that, and let's get a discussion going, and I'll see you guys around the world. Bye.